Beyond the politics, beyond the hoopla, VP Kamala Harris can make history. So just your thoughts on not just the political side of this thing, but the historical moment of having the first black woman in the White House.
Well, look, African Americans brought here in 1619, forced labor for 246 years, and 100 years of Jim Crow after that, and then about 60 years of dramatic, disproportionate bad treatment after that until this very minute. And so for somebody of African heritage to ascend to the top of leadership in our country is amazing, just that fact alone. And yet she is going to do more than just be a black face in the White House. She's going to be a forward-thinking leader who's trying to improve the lives of all. She's did it. Look, I'm an attorney general. She's an attorney general. Yeah. And basically the job is economic justice. Basically the job is, holding people accountable who rip off, scam, and take advantage of others. She was in the middle of that housing foreclosure crisis, making sure money was returned to homeowners. Y'all are from Detroit. You remember people being foreclosed on because they got into bad mortgages. Well, in California, she was at the very heart of helping restore justice to people who were victims of those fraud scams. Now, that's who's going to go there. She's not just, a black woman. She is a consumer advocate. She is a justice advocate. Now, she's a prosecutor, but look, she stood opposed to the death penalty. And even when some people were saying, oh, we're going to come after you for being against the death penalty, she said, well, come as you may, but I'm not about to change my mind. And, so I think that she is extremely well qualified. She made the decisive votes on a number of pieces of critical legislation, CHIPS Act, infrastructure bill, a whole bunch of stuff where she just really stepped up and came through. And, if running a good campaign is a measure of organization, she's damn organized.
So I got to ask you this because it's going to come down to a few swing states.
Yeah.
What are her biggest advantages in those swing states and disadvantages?
Well, I'll just be candid. Why be anything else? It's going to be voter turnout. There are enough votes in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia to win. They're there. But you've got to have a campaign that will go get people to do that. You've got to make sure that there's adequate rides. You've got to have your arguments in place. For example, a lot of people be like, well, I don't believe in voting. I don't believe in the system. I'm like, well, do you believe in justice? Do you believe in things getting better? I tell people not voting is not a protest. Not voting is a surrender. Yeah. Now, do you surrender? Yeah. And a young brother, very sharp young man said, well, Malcolm said the Republicans and the Democrats have both sold us out. I'm like, brother, Malcolm X was killed in 1965, the same year as the Voting Rights Act was passed. Yeah. So, based on everything Malcolm X ever said, do you really believe he would not take advantage of the power to vote if he could? Yeah. Malcolm X will be the main one talking about, you better get it's not everything, but it's something important. Yeah. Malcolm X would be like, take control of your community, and if voting is a tool, yeah, do that too. And, so I would say, these things are critically important. Now, I will say that I really hope that the campaign thinks about ways to signal to the Palestinian American community, yeah, that it really does see them. That's important. That's very, we're from Michigan, and we know we all got, everybody black in Detroit and white too has friends, neighbors, and maybe relatives who are Arab Americans or Muslim. And some Arabs are Christians. We know that because this is our neighbors. There's gonna have to be some political work to say we see you, we care. What's going on is deeply disturbing. I tried to make that point in my remarks that the community is being listened to, but then that's just rhetoric it's not followed up on. So that's something that that's going to have to happen. But I think that Trump has done such a horrendous job that it's fertile ground. Yeah. But I also think that if you don't go get it, it ain't gonna get got. And on this one issue, there's going to have to be some work.
So last question, you being an attorney,
Yes.
There's a lot of voter suppression, especially in Georgia.
Sure.
There was a law passed like a few weeks ago about certain counties can certify can hold certifications from a legal standpoint. Yeah, from a legal standpoint, what are some of the obstacles and how do you get ahead of these voter suppression laws?
Well, let me just tell everybody who's listening that attorneys general, Democratic attorneys general, are well aware of these problems. We know that it's not like the system held last time and we ain't got to do nothing to make sure it holds this time. We're actively working together. We're meeting all the time. Inside of every AG office, we have an election protection group. We have groups that talk to each other all the time. And I'm telling you, if anybody in my state or other states acts like they're not going to certify legitimate elections results, there are legal tools to make them do their duty, and I think it's pretty clear we're prepared to step up and do it. Anybody tries to intimidate voters, anybody tries to lie to voters, we passed a law to prevent what they call deep fakes. So if you use AI to try to say, oh, Democrats vote on Wednesday, Republicans vote on Tuesday, now, that's, and we catch you doing it, that's a crime. And you better believe that we're going to exercise the law. So we are working on it, talking about it. And one last thing I want to leave with anybody listening. If you see something that looks like voter suppression, that looks like voter deep fake lying, if you see an image of Kamala Harris and Kamala Harris's voice saying voting is not a good idea, that's probably an AI deep fake. You should report it immediately and try to tape it if you can and report it to Dana Nessel, who is the Attorney General in Michigan.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time out. Truly appreciate it, brother.
My brother.